Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Now in this video, I'm kind of bringing it back to yield farming and explaining to you what I've been doing and potential opportunities that I would get into right now. But with that being said, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, and let's jump into it. So I haven't really been yield farming for a while. I have just been, and I haven't really been posting too many videos recently other than sort of new projects that have been coming up. But in terms of what I'm doing personally in crypto and DeFi, I haven't really been doing too much, if I'm being honest. I've just sort of been holding my spot positions in Bitcoin and ETH. I never take leverage, always spot. And also I've been farming a few airdrops, which one of them does include yield farming. So I'll cover that in just a second here. But I haven't really been doing anything too crazy with yield farming recently. So I wanted to just make a video on if I was going to start, which I'm going to start allocating some more capital to yield farming, where I would do that. So right now on CoinGecko, obviously we know the market is stable. Recently, it hasn't been going up crazy. It hasn't been going down crazy. It's just kind of been flat, which is kind of good for us in DeFi. So really in yield farming, you kind of want things to be either flat, where it's not going up crazy, not going down crazy, or you want it to be going in a bullish market, so you're making money on the upside if your position goes out of range with correlated pairs. Now in a bear market, sure, pairs that are partnered with a stablecoin are good to mitigate risk. But you're going to have some more impermanent loss. But because you're in a bear market, you're just sort of mitigating your risk there. So the project that I'm only yield farming at the moment is Hype and USDT over on Project X, and I'm farming this for an airdrop. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to also do some yield farming on Hyperliquid EVM and get yourself a nice airdrop from Project X. I currently have two pools open. One of them is Hype and USDT, and the other one is Plasma or UXPL and Hype, which has been out of range for a while now. So if we take a look at VFAT, we can see some of the potential in farms at the moment. And also there's something pretty interesting which is just released, which is tokenized stocks, which I'm going to go over in another video soon. But you can now provide liquidity to the stock market, essentially, which is awesome. So if we take a look over on VFAT, you can see that there is still some pretty juicy APRs here and some pretty decent, opportunities, right? With decent APRs. I mean, if you look at sort of the daily APR, there is obviously some in crazy 1,000%. But even if you look at like a Bitcoin and ETH pool, because Bitcoin and ETH, you can't really get more correlated than that, I guess, in terms of correlated pairs. I mean, right now over on Linear, you can get 200% on Bitcoin and ETH there, which is pretty cool, although there's not much liquidity, so I'm potentially not looking into that pool. But if you were going to yield farm right now, I would probably do it over on base, just because you're potentially farming a base airdrop as well. So that is something to keep in mind as well there. So if we take a little look at DeFi Llama, you can see the current TVL for DeFi is still 150 billion. So we're still pretty high in terms of TVL. And if you have a look at DeFi Llama as well, you can see which chains have the most liquidity, which is probably going to be decent for you finding positions where is kind of safe, what protocol is the safest to put your money. Of course, you've got things like Aave and Lido, which are at the top. Now, you're not going to get as much APR on these because obviously they're staking protocols versus farming protocols. Now, if we go over to yields and have a look at overview, you can see that there is some decent yields going on still in this market. And of course, VFAT is a tool that I like to use to find opportunities as well as DeFi Llama. So if we have a look at like a ETH position, ETH to US, or sorry, it'll probably be WETH to USDC. You can even go into this position here on Aerodrome on base and jump in with, let's say you want to do a 10% range or something. Price in WETH here, and sorry, price in USDC is okay. You need like a 10% range. There is some decent opportunities here for like a 300% APR. which is almost 1% per day, right? Which is pretty cool. So there's still a lot of opportunities here. I mean, even if you do something like wrapped Bitcoin to ETH, there again is some decent 100% APR here over on Sonic. So again, there's still a lot of opportunities for yield farming. Now, the best thing that I would probably suggest going into yield farming, which I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't advise anything, but if you're going to jump into yield farming in this market, which I'm going to start allocating more funds to once these airdrop farms end, you want to really first look at correlated tokens. So I wouldn't focus too much on tokens with USDC in it or a stablecoin in it. And the reason for that is because you kind of want to catch the upside. You want correlated tokens. So if the price moves up on one of them, obviously you are out of range, but you're earning on the upside of the token. So you kind of want to be positioned in that way if that was me. Now, if we take a look at Airdrop is the biggest DEX over on Base. So we can kind of see these APRs here. And this is probably where, if I was going to do it on Base, it would be here. But even on ETH and Bitcoin, you can get a 300% APR here. So that is pretty cool. And obviously, depending on the range that you, let's say, you're plus 3%, plus 8%, whatever, the range obviously changes depending on kind of how positioned you are with your range, right? So I would probably yield farm on Base just because of a potential Base airdrop. You're pushing volume through there, which is going to be good for the airdrop. But there is a lot of opportunities right now, and you want to use the flywheel, which is going to be your spot positions, potentially staking them on something like Aave, taking a loaned position on your staked funds, and then not hugely because you want to be careful of your liquidation risk as well, but take a small portion of that for as a loan, and then use those funds to yield farm. So you're basically cash flowing on that free money, and then you take the fees. Let's say on this Project X pool, if I locked up, I don't know, 10K to take out this 2.5K, well, I could take this $200 that I have in fees right now unclaimed and go and pay down some of that debt. So that and then eventually you'll get to a point where you've paid off that debt, and that 2.5K is essentially free money that you're playing with. So that is really and truly the ultimate goal, is to be playing with house money. And it's difficult to manage in different markets, but you want to take your rewards, restake them, and just really build a nice portfolio of yield farming. And that is essentially the sort of, I want to go back down that route of yield farming and deploying, mid like 50K, 60K potentially into these positions, and really just start going on this kind of position, sort of this journey again. I removed most of my liquidity. Again, I'm only really farming this hype and USDT position right now because I took out that money and put them into airdrop farms. And this is one of them. So that's where the majority of my funds have been, is in airdrops. My, my stables that I had. I still have 5 figures of stables sat around ready to deploy, just sitting there, not doing anything. So you may as well earn yield on them, right? So that is going to be my plan over the next few months, is to start deploying into farms again, depending on obviously different factors. But yeah, that is pretty much the video. I kind of wanted to explain what I would do. I would get into positions on the Base network personally, just to get airdrop, just to be positioned so that you're farming that potential Base airdrop as well, because that is going to be pretty juicy. I was a day one Base user with hundreds of millions of volume pushed through there, and bridged over and whatnot. So it should be pretty decent to be positioned on that chain, just to increase that volume as well. So check out VFAT, check out DeFi Llama, and check out Airdrop for those positions. And also I'm going to do a video very soon on different tokenized stocks that you can currently farm and generate a decent APR on. So if that is something that you're interested in, then keep an eye out over the weekend or early next week, and I will have that video out. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.